Hello and welcome to another episode on the Topic. This week I'm going to ignore an incredibly useful plot device and instead drag the film out for another 90 minutes. I'm Alex.
And I am a levitating T-Rex. I'm Dan.
Alright. I'm really interested to hear your notes what that is. And this week, listener, yes, if you've read the description, not just blindly press the play button, we are talking about plot holes.
Yeah, I think we should slap a volume 1 on it as well.
Yeah, it's done.
Massive rabbit hole to go down.
There's plenty of odd things, plot devices and ways which the writers just gave up, apparently, and us as the audience lapped it up. But we're here to educate you, the listener, and to throw some light perhaps on some very odd storylines and plot holes.
Or possibly to ruin your favourite films like I have done with myself.
Yeah, there's a couple on my list. I think I've done the same. Before we get into that, Dan, before we ruin people's lives as per usual, what have you been up to? Anything exciting?
So, at the time of our last episode, I was preparing to go to York.
You were?
Went to York.
You did?
Absolutely wonderful. On the Friday, we had a Yorkshire pudding wrap, which you suggested to us. I think it was like the Hog Roast Company.
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, they've got a couple of places.
Amazing.
For perhaps our non-British listeners, and there's a couple, how would you describe what a Yorkie is, and but how it's been taken to the next level by this place? How would you describe it?
I mean, Yorkshire pudding is just like batter, isn't it? And then you stick it in the oven, and it turns into a nice little cup, and then you can fill it with your gravy, your
crispy
meat,
cup,
or whatever.
So it's an egg, milk, and flour.
Yeah,
it's very straightforward. You get the oven super hot. You pour it into some oil in a tray, and then it rises. In fact, it rises so high, I've never seen anything rise so quickly. It crisps up, as you say, Dan, but with a soft, chewy middle, if you do it right.
Yes.
And yeah, you can fill it full of whatever you want, and it usually accompanies... I mean, up and down the UK divides households at Christmas, and sometimes on a dinner table during the winter, because we don't have roasts really in the summer, do we?
No.
Some people do, but they're wrong uns. It tends to be a winter thing. I'm all for Yorkshires.
Always.
They always feature on the roast, regardless of the time of year for me. But I know that when I was talking to some colleagues and some friends and people on the radio, running up to Christmas, people are like, you don't have Yorkies? I'm like, you do.
Yes, you do.
Where else are you going to put your gravy? You fill up your gravy, that's your reserve. You put gravy and everything else, and when you're ready, you cut a little bit out of your Yorkshire, and it leaks. You then have this reservoir of hot, juicy... I could eat some more. And you could just let the rest of the gravy refresh that plate. Why else would you not have... I can't think of why we not have it.
No, it does make sense. But anyway...
They've
taken the Yorkshire pudding to the next level. So they've almost
street food, right? Almost.
I suppose it kind of almost is.
Yeah.
It's just like a flat sheet, and they fill it up with all your roast meat and stuffing, and then you put a sauce on it, bit of veg, and then you get a side of potatoes, roast potatoes, of course, to go on the side, and they pour loads of thick gravy on it, and it's delicious.
Did you have any horseradish or apple sauce?
I had the beef, so horseradish, and it was amazing. Oh, it was so good. Banging.
Very good, isn't it?
In fact, I had some of my other half's niece's sort of vegetarian stuff as well. She can eat all.
I was going to say, did you ask her first, or did you just eat it?
She was like, she offered it out to me.
Okay.
And it was very good. I mean, I'm always
like a nut roasting, is it, or something?
Yeah, I'm always open to a vegetarian, vegan thing. I always try and do my bit to help the planet.
Very good.
So can't judge me on that.
Had a bit of Yorkshire.
Yeah. I think if anyone goes to York, I highly recommend you go to the York Ghost Merchants. It is literally the tiniest little shop. Check them out on social media. It's got thousands of followers for this thing. You go in, it's like this old sort of Tudorian style house, and they sell little miniature ghosts. So you've got big ones, little ones, and they're all painted in different ways. So every ghost is unique. And they say you should always buy the one that calls out to you. I bought two. I bought a big one and I bought a little one. Steve and Mini Steve.
Okay.
That's what we're naming him.
And where are these now? Pride of place on a shelf or a
They are
mantelpiece?
on my TV unit at the moment.
Okay.
It's a wonderful place, York. Yeah.
Mm.
And if anyone's into craft beer like I am, visit Brew York. Just don't drink the Polish coffee cake stout.
Oh.
Tastes like Parma violets.
I like, yeah.
You like Parma violets?
Yeah.
Do you like Guinness?
I give up after about 3 pints, but I do like a bit of Guinness.
But I mean, if it was just like a third of a pint that tastes like Guinness and Parma violets in a glass, would you drink that?
I'd have a sip. I'm not sure if I'd enjoy it.
It's interesting. It wasn't.
It's quite dense, isn't it? I guess, and very flavoursome. Those two flavours are quite. I'm not sure if they're complementary.
No, it doesn't work. Not as a stout. Not in my opinion, anyway. But I'm sure there's someone out there that would enjoy it. But had a very nice sour, fruit pie, pastry sour, very desserty, really thick, lots of berries, vanilla. Oh, it was so good.
Lovely.
So good. And last weekend, Alex, I walked on top of the I-360 in Brighton.
You did?
Very, very interesting. I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be. But anyway, you sort of
you're still hungover.
Wow, maybe not from the week before. I did have a beer the night before, though.
There you go.
Just to, settle the nerves.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just one beer. I mean, it does take a lot these days.
Cheap date.
No. So you go up in the donut in the I-360. You go outside. Well, they harness you up before you go up the ladder. Then they put you onto another harness, take the other harness off, and you just walk around. And you can see the South Downs. You can just about see the Isle of Wight in the distance on the sea. You can see all
romantic
Brighton. Yeah, beautiful views. Very cold though. But that's it really. We watched Wakanda Forever, and
you did.
It broke my girlfriend.
Oh.
She was an absolute mess by the end of that film.
Including the post-credit scene?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it got me again, actually.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Got in the feels?
Got me in the feels, that final scene where you see Chadwick Boseman. Because, of course, they don't really show any flashbacks where he is the Black Panther. It is just Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to hear our reviews on that, just head back to last year. There's a couple of episodes on the go.
Yes.
So, of course, we'll be doing the same with Quantumania this month, probably.
Yep. Next couple of weeks.
That's it. But that's it, Alex. That's it for me. Nothing exciting.
Sounds quite the opposite, Dan, if I'm honest.
It does, doesn't it? I just still want to brag.
No, we can. Because I haven't done too much. I've just sat on my ass. Trying to save money. Quite the opposite to what you've been doing. And I've burned through 2 seasons very quickly, so 40 episodes of SEAL Team.
Okay.
Now, are you familiar with SEAL Team?
No, where can I find it?
Paramount Plus or Sky Go. I don't have Sky, but it's on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
The first 2 seasons, I think, because in the UK at least, the rest on Sky. 5 seasons. David Boreanaz.
Yeah.
In Our Money, he's Angel.
Yes.
From Buffy. For some of our listeners, they won't have an absolute idea what I'm talking about, which really saddens me. But to me, he's always going to be Angel, and he's brilliant in that.
We're old, and 90s kids as well.
Indeed. And he is the leader of a SEAL team, so an elite fighting unit, American Army unit, well, in the Navy. And you follow them, and they've got their relationships and the different characters, and they do these very accurate kind of missions, and it's an action series, so it's good, and there's a bit of feeling in it, and not everyone's safe because it's warfare, and it's really good. So I've got through 2 seasons pretty quickly. I've just got to try and find how I get hold of the remaining 3. I've recently picked up Hogwarts.
Oh, the game
Legacy.
It looks incredible.
Now, before we get hate mail and people get their pitchforks out and say, Alex, you're not an ally, you don't support, just hear me out for a minute, listener.
This doesn't sound promising.
No, quite the opposite. The game is phenomenal. Portkey Games, WB, have done, I think, the game that everyone's wanted now for about 25 years. But there's a sour taste in my mouth because it's J.K. Rowling. And a lot of people on social media, although to be fair, I haven't seen anyone actually do this, So lots of people said, "Oh yeah, we shouldn't pay J.K. Rowling." I get it and understand, but I don't see many of you actually like not doing it. I'm just seeing a lot of people who are. But by and large, I don't disagree with people's thoughts and comments on the transphobia, the homophobia, and the fact that she's destroying a lot of people's kind of imagination. Things that we grew up with Harry Potter. Not obviously we didn't go to Hogwarts. That would have been cool, too cool for us. We were clearly Muggles. And we've talked about how we love Harry Potter over the last nearly 5 years. Jesus damn, nearly 5 years we've been talking about this stuff.
It will be featuring in this episode as well, actually.
Okay. Go easy on us because we still like that franchise. But I do struggle. We had talked about it before about J.K. Rowling and how just vocal and idiotic and insensitive and uneducated perhaps she is. That being said, if we boycott, I mean, the woman, she's insanely rich. She's not really going to notice a couple of less zeros in her bank balance, in my humble opinion. I think if you don't support developers who spent probably 4, 5, 6 years plus on this, it's going to hurt them. That's their portfolio, that's their CV, right?
Yeah.
And they could go on to do wonderful things. And it's them, I think, ultimately getting hurt. Now, people say, I'm not buying the game. I'm going to instead donate to trans supporting charities. Great. And I wholly support that idea. But I also have an interest in gaming, and it's a wonderful game. It's phenomenal. And also supporting developers. And I think there is space to be both, because I am an ally. But I also appreciate when someone does some hard work, they should also be recognised.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I am struggling internally with that whole J.K. Rowling and indirectly supporting her. But I have done for decades now because I've grown up with it. I don't know. It's a tough one. So anyway, that's my long preface with that. But what I will say, Dan, is I've been really enjoying the game. It's everything that anyone would want and more. The map's gigantic. You can jump on your broomstick after about 5 hours of gaming. They don't just give you everything. It's really well paced. You've got your potions in there. You go to Hogsmeade and you chill out in the pub.
Oh, man.
You walk around the streets. The collectibles are out this world. There's loads of things to collect. You can just walk around. You unlock loads and loads of different spells.
Yeah.
You go to the classes. And again, they're not just given to you. They are well paced. They are behind quests. And they are logical. You walk in the countryside. Come across some kind of fantastic beast that you can then take home to your vivarium, I don't know how it's pronounced, and you can then deck it out. You can create your own room of requirement. It's beautiful.
Sounds awesome.
And that's not even the missions. That's not even the interaction with other characters or walking around Hogwarts. Down the game it's massive.
Is there an end game to this, or is it literally you just go around Hogwarts?
To my tirade and my description of the game, or do you mean the actual game itself?
The actual game itself.
Yeah, there's a storyline. There's an evil and rampant troll, and he wants to effectively control. He's not a troll. He's an elf, or who are the guys in Gringotts?
Oh, dwarves.
He's a dwarf.
Is it dwarves?
I don't think he's a dwarf. He's one of those guys though, but he's a baddie, and he believes in the rights of his race and purity of magic and all the rest of this, and he goes to war with the Wizarding World.
Ooh,
okay. And he partners then with human dark wizards and poachers. That's where the Fantastic Beasts element comes in. And it's really good. I don't say too much because I would recommend people should play it.
I will at some point. I don't know when. I'm still busy.
Yeah. It's a big game, but it's a lot of fun.
About halfway through Final Fantasy VII Remake now. I still haven't played much Spider-Man.
Got back catalogue, haven't you?
Yeah. On a side note, actually, I did finish Wednesday on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, started watching it before Christmas, and of course the Christmas period hits, and you want to watch all the Christmas films, blah, blah, blah. Got back onto it, and actually it's fantastic.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Glad there's going to be a season 2.
Bloody brilliant.
So good. It's just marvellous.
I did guess quite easily, though, almost the second or third episode, the big bad. We won't say what it is, because I think it's still relatively fresh, I guess.
Yeah.
I guessed it, though.
I didn't see it coming
Come on.
But it was only
that
really...
could have just been a nod. And it would have been a very expensive nod.
Mm.
But it could have just been a nod.
No, I didn't see it coming.
Wow. Well, good writing then.
Oh, yeah. For people like me, anyway.
Hey, they all can't be budding detectives like yours truly.
I have started watching Shadow and Bone as well on Netflix.
Oh, right, yeah. I've heard quite good things about that. 2 seasons, is there?
I think the second season is due out very soon.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like magic meets Game of Thrones, I guess.
Wow.
It's quite good. Oh, so only a couple of episodes in. Try and bring a bit more to the party next time we do an episode.
Very good. Well, anyway, yes. I haven't been climbing up things. I've been watching things and playing things, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Talk about watching things. Yes, let's get on to this week's episode.
Let's do it.
We'll talk about movie plot holes, and these are thick and fast. There's so many. It's like a colander sometimes, and actually when you read it you think, actually, yeah, what, why? And that doesn't make any sense. And the rest of the film's phenomenal. You just think, well, why did they do that? So yes, not a spoiler warning. We put the klaxon in there. It will come up in the next couple of episodes, but we are about to ruin a couple of your favourite movies, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. So you have been warned by that regard.
Yes.
Who will start? You or me?
I'll kick things off.
You kick us off.
Let's kick things off with where we started, with your tirade, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Well, not really a tirade as such. It was just very meaningful.
An explanation piece. I just want to make people aware. I'm not going to start again down that way, but I want to make people aware that I have conscious thought. But yes,
I've got a couple for Harry Potter. Okay, I mean there's a lot of plot holes out there, but I've only chosen a couple specifically.
Oh, by the way, listener, as per usual, Dan and I have not exchanged notes. We don't know what we're about to talk about to each other, so I'm learning this as the first time as you are. So tell me.
Peter Pettigrew and the Marauders map.
Yes.
Do you know where this is going?
I think I've seen some memes over the years.
So the Marauders map shows Peter Pettigrew labelled as himself, even when he is in rat form. Okay?
Yes.
Fred and George constantly check this map, and they have been doing so for years.
Rather neglectful brothers, I'd say.
However, neither of them ever saw Peter's name on the map, despite there being no one by that name in Ronsdorm.
No. And surely they would be checking out what their brother's doing from time to time on this map. That was by the second film, so you would assume, at least, even if they just picked up the map, and they hadn't, I think they had it for a while, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because they were older. But even if they just picked up that map, they still had it for at least half a term, and they still didn't find or look at the map properly.
Didn't see Scabbers or Peter Pettigrew running around being a devious little shit. And even though Harry does spot the name on the map once, it's odd that this is the only time he sees it in all the time he is looking.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's an explanation. Maybe it can be explained if size and proximity factor in. You know, maybe Peter was only visible while not with Ron, as the Ron label would cover the Peter label entirely.
That's technicalities now, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just a bit stupid. Or maybe Fred and George never looked at the dorms themselves. Either way, still hasn't been explained.
No.
Just seems a bit odd.
Very. And your brother's hanging around with a dead guy.
And, you know, he's a bit of a creeper.
Peter Pettigrew?
Yeah.
Of course he is. A bit lazy guy, kicking it around with a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Very odd. Wrong 'un.
But then, let's talk about the magic behind Thestrals.
Yes.
This is a problem that J.K. Rowling herself had to demystify. But the fandom just couldn't be appeased. Why couldn't Harry see the Thestrals at the end of Goblet of Fire, considering he'd only just experienced the loss of Cedric?
Yes.
You know, he was in the graveyard.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. Arpats. Saw him get obliterated.
Yes.
Abracadabra. He's dead.
Brown bread.
But didn't see the Thestrals on his way back to wherever he lived. Can't remember the road name.
Privet Drive.
That's it. Private Drive. Yeah, never saw them. So Thestrals are a breed of skeletal winged horses that can only be visible to wizards who have seen death.
Yes.
Harry was too young to understand what was happening when he witnessed his parents' death, and he was unconscious when Quirrell died.
You see, I don't buy that first one, though.
He witnessed his parents' death, so come on.
Yeah.
He should have been seeing Thestrals
at
the
birth,
very first
100%.
day.
But anyway, they talk about conscious, which is a whole different kettle of fish, I guess.
Yeah. So, J.K. Rowling claimed that although Cedric's death was the first death Harry experienced closely, it takes time for anyone to get over the shock and absorb fully that they will never see a person again. I still don't buy it.
I don't buy that, but she's got to do something, I guess.
Which is why Harry only started seeing Thestrals in Order of the Phoenix. But since Thestrals are not imaginary, can their corporeal existence really depend upon a person's consciousness? If so, how does the magic behind it work?
Yeah. But it's just magic.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't buy J.K. Rowling's explanation. She sort of probably went, oh shit, that's a plot hole in my books.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the films came out and people were now picking the films apart.
Well, she can make up whatever she wants. She's a creator.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not buying what she's saying either.
Nah. We've already seen the film. Harry witnessed his parents' death. He should have been saying them from day dot.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Whatever.
Whatevs.
Whatevs. That's a couple of plot holes, just to kick things off from the magical wizarding world of Harry Potter.
It's quite a strong opening there, Dan.
Oh, we don't mess around. We've got some more to come.
We do. Well, I'm going to go back to 1999, The Matrix.
Oi, oi.
Keanu Reeves, kicking butt, looking particularly good. Brings back the trench coat in odd fashion with the black glasses and kung fu. Do you know kung fu?
I know karate.
Yeah. Do you?
A little bit.
No, really? We never talked about this before.
Yeah, I did karate when I was about 10 through to about when I was 12, 13.
No.
Yeah.
Have you practiced?
Not since I quit, no. I wouldn't know the moves. Not anymore.
Oh, right. Find you on the dojo anytime soon?
I know some blocks. That's about it.
Yeah.
I can show you how to punch.
You can't see us listening, but I went into a lunge and he did block it.
He's taking me out.
But he's sipping on a glass of water, so that's unfair for me. Okay, well, anyway, I think we need to investigate this at a later time because I'm perplexed. But anyway, The Matrix, 1999. The whole premise is that human beings are effectively Duracell batteries, right?
Yeah.
The robotic real world has harvested human beings for their energy, for the electrical charge. We're on farms. We're plugged into this big VR world, and none of it's real. But therein lies itself a plot hole, because if you're a machine, why would you possibly use human beings who are challenging, troublesome, and have free will and thought? Why not use other animals to power your devices and have them live on a field? I.e., have a whole universe or a whole world full of cows. Plug the cows in. Have them believe that they're in a field. They're big. They create energy and heat and everything. They're not going to rebel against you and build machines and kick the crap out of you and learn kung fu, are they?
No.
But if they will, that's a different film entirely.
But apparently cows can charge at you, can't they?
They can, but then, yeah, you just fly. They can't fly.
True. Yeah, do you think that?
So it just seems a bit odd that they've chosen. It's a film, right? I know, but they're not using or harnessing anything other than humans. It just seems a little bit strange that humans who are challenging and, say, troublesome and have that ability to be able to break free, why not just make your life simpler and just have other animals that perhaps don't do that? The Matrix.
Wow.
Duracell batteries. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense from a machine world perspective.
No.
But hey, there we go. That's not the way it happened, and Neo ends up becoming Jesus and breaks the Matrix and starts again. Go figure. Have you seen the latest Matrix, the newest one?
No.
I haven't either. Apparently it's meh. It's not terrible, but also it's not as though it was supposed to be hyped up to be, which was amazing.
Yeah. Problem is, Hollywood is running out of ideas. It's either reboots or sequels that just weren't necessarily asked for. But
which we've covered both.
we have.
Yeah, poor state of affairs. That's my first one, Dan. How about you? What's next?
Next, we're going to 1995's Toy Story.
Oh yeah, great film.
Buzz shouldn't freeze when he thinks he's real.
Buzz shouldn't freeze when he thinks it's real.
So
True. Oh yeah. Sorry, that had to take a while to sink in there, but yeah.
So at the very beginning of the first Toy Story film, Buzz Lightyear is totally convinced he is a real space ranger.
Yeah.
He is wary of those around him and keeps trying to interrogate people and explore the new planet he has landed on, which is just Andy's bed.
Yep.
Despite this, he freezes and falls to the floor as soon as a human walks in. So he follows all the other toys. Woody, Bo Peep, Rex. Human walks in. That's it. He falls to the floor and acts inanimate.
Even though he insists he's not a toy himself.
Exactly. We see that Woody is able to choose when to freeze, so it obviously isn't a built-in response that toys have. So it's pretty weird if Buzz thinks laying on the floor when a massive human enters the room is a normal thing for a space ranger to do. Then we have some stuff to discuss. On top of this, Buzz does a fair few things that you think would completely prove to him and everyone around him that he, of course, isn't really a space ranger. Firstly, seeing humans who are absolutely huge in comparison to him must cause a bit of confusion.
Yeah, true.
He seems to be a human under that suit after all.
Right.
He also knows that the button on his chest, I don't know why I'm pointing to my chest because our listeners can't see me.
But you are.
It says, Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. It's like Woody, he pulls the string in the back of his...
There's a snake in my boots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Reach for the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he think it's a bit weird that a real space ranger would have a button that just plays random sound bites out of his own voice out loud? It's just a bit odd.
It is. Or very egotistical if he thinks that it's a thing.
So, Toy Story, 1995. Buzz Lightyear
Doesn't
acts
make
like a toy,
sense.
even though he thinks he's a real space ranger.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
It's odd, isn't it?
I won't point it out to my little boy who started to watch and love Toy Story because
Yeah, don't ruin it for him at that age.
he'll cry along with me. We'll be there sat on the sofa sobbing because of you.
Sorry about that.
That's a quick one. Little Mermaid, 1989.
Yeah.
Now I haven't seen this one in a while. Disney classic, bona fide. All about a mermaid who lives under the sea with Sebastian. Is he a French crab? He's a crab, that's for sure.
He's a crab.
He's got attitude, and she wants to be on the surface world with beautiful humans. That right?
Yeah.
Now she meets Ursula. Ursula is, I guess, in Disney money, the evil witch, right? So she has, I don't think it's ever explained, but she's got this power to give Ariel legs. Been a while since I've seen this film. I'm not really doing it justice, but that's the gist, right?
Yeah.
And do you, again, depending on when you last seen this, Dan, you may not remember, but do you remember what that agreement looks like when Ursula shoves that in front of Ariel's face?
Sadly, I cannot. I was probably single digits the last time I saw this film. So
Okay.
It's been some 30 years, probably.
It's a floating, oddly not soggy bit of parchment with a contract on.
Oh, boy. It's
Now-
in writing.
Ariel has got to sign with a quill, of course, underwater on this to make an agreement, and then magic ensues and she gets
That's a plot hole in itself. How is anyone writing anything underwater with a quill, ink, and soggy paper?
Indeed. But that's for another day, perhaps. Maybe we should do a Mythbusters episode. You could be Ariel, I'll be Ursula. We'll dress
Okay,
up and go
let's
to
do
the swimming pool. We should though, should we? I just got my images of us going to nearby swimming pool, the Rathling Park swimming pool.
Yeah.
And dressed up and, like, one weekend and we're dressed up and you're...
Oh, he's destroying me.
Yeah, you're in bits. And then...
Actually crying.
And then the poor staff looking at us perplexed about us dressed as Disney characters. That'd be phenomenal. And invariably, because we're wearing dresses and it gets wet, we end up nearly drowning and they've got to save us. We make newspaper. That.
Oh God. Okay.
2 men in their late 30s were found nearly drowned in nearby Ravelin Park after dressing up as Disney characters for their podcast.
Phenomenal swimming pool, by the way. All economical, and it's all funded by the university. A lot of people think it's funded by the council. It is not. All fully funded by the university, and apparently the whole swimming pool is heated up by people's sweat.
Oh.
So, in the gym next door,
Yeah.
where people are like, doing their weight stuff, there is a vent that sucks up all the warmth from these people's bodies, and it warms up.
That sounds gross, but I'm sure it's...
But equally fascinating that you can do that. And I'm still wiping tears away now.
No, you are. You are not the first, probably not the last time I'll make you cry, Dan. Okay, maybe a Mythbusters episode. It has to be on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so she signs a piece of paper, and then later on in the film, I think part of the contract is she can't talk to the humans, or she can't relay what's happened. And so she can't relay to her, I can't remember the guy's name, her Prince Charming. So she ends up gesturing, and there's a miscommunication. He's like, what's going on? Why can't you talk? Why are you being coy with me? And there's a bit of kind of like cat and mouse game. It's all very cute and stuff, but at the end of it, she has to dive back into the sea because she's got her flippers back, and it's all very sad. But she can write. So why couldn't she have found a piece of paper or something on the land to write out and say, look, my Prince Charming, I can't say anything, but this big fuck off tentacle-faced woman has given me legs and I can't tell you, but please don't leave me and I want your babies. Or she could have even done that on the sand and written on the sand with her new feet in her hands.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. Now, obviously, it's not really a plot point, but there is an illogical step there, and it's a very odd one, because she could have just saved a good 25 minutes of confusion and cut to the chase, but she didn't. Ariel can write.
She can.
Little Mermaid, 1989.
Amazing.
Soon to have a trip at the nearby swimming pool.
Oh, God.
Great stuff.
So right, next up, Star Wars.
There's a lot wrong with Star Wars, but specifically, what, the first one?
Well, we're going to Return of the Jedi.
Okay, the last one.
Darth Vader. Well, I mean, I suppose you could just talk about the original trilogy in its entirety with this one thing. Darth Vader doesn't sense Leia is his daughter.
Yeah. Which is odd.
Yeah. So in Return of the Jedi, we see Luke having a heart-to-heart with the Force spirit of Obi-Wan on Dagobah about his destiny. When Luke presses him on what Yoda meant about there being another, Obi-Wan tells Luke that he has a sister who remains safe in anonymity. Luke's Jedi instincts inform him that his sister is Leia, which Obi-Wan confirms. Yet Darth Vader, whose Jedi instincts are presumably stronger than Luke's, spent considerable time torturing and interrogating Leia in A New Hope, but somehow didn't realise that Leia was his daughter. Make it make sense.
Perhaps the dark side overwhelmed him and stopped him from seeing the truth.
Maybe.
It's a stretch.
The real reason for this discrepancy could very well be that George Lucas simply hadn't figured out the entire Skywalker family tree when he conceived the first Star Wars, and that he was still figuring things out for each instalment.
It sounds like a George Lucas thing, doesn't it?
There doesn't seem to be an in-story reason for the discrepancy. Maybe being on the dark side of the Force, as you said, clouds one's ability to detect familial connections.
I don't think that's the truth, though, because I seem to get the impression that they have all of the mentality and the integrity of thought, but with all the murderous intent. It is odd.
It is odd.
Even if he didn't know that he had twins, which I think canonically he doesn't know he's had a second child. He knew that Natalie Portman was pregnant. He didn't know twins, did he?
I don't know.
I don't think so. But even then, as you say, he would have surely... I mean, Luke's a budding Padawan.
Yeah.
He's learning. If he could work it out, this other guy's been terrorising the universe for 35 years. What's going on there?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It's a fair one, actually. It's a really good one. 2002.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan. The guy does the kind of quirky horror type films. Are you a fan of M. Night Shyamalan? Did The Village, I think. What else did he do? He did that one with Mark Wahlberg where the trees tried to kill everyone.
I don't think I've ever seen any of these.
What? I guess you don't like horror films.
No, I'm not a horror fan.
They're really good. They are quite dark, got a really quite dark undertone, but they always have a very, very interesting twist. He's known for his twists. Well, in 2002, we have ourselves Signs.
Oh, yes. I think I might have seen this.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a dreadful film. Is it a dreadful film?
Joaquin Phoenix. I actually quite like it because not an awful lot happens. It's all set on a farm, and there's an interesting family dynamic. They've lost a mother; she died tragically, and that's the backdrop. So they're isolated on this farm in a very sleepy town, and aliens come.
Yeah,
like proper fucking aliens, and the way they do it is phenomenal. Like there's all like home footage, like camcorder footage, and people are learning about it on the news, and it's misinformation, and no one knows what's going on, but there's stuff going down, people are dying, and it's all happening very fast. It's very scary. At the very ending of the film, look, guys, if you haven't seen it, that's not my problem. It's 2002 now, so it's 20 years ago. Aliens are susceptible to water. So Joaquin Phoenix, he's told by, I guess his sister-in-law, as she's dying, swing away. And he's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, she died like 5 years ago. She wasn't really with it. She was dying. And he's like, no, this is now it. Swing.
Doesn't the kid leave stale glasses of water all over the place?
Correct.
That's the film, yeah. I remember this.
And the kid leaves water around the house. They don't know why, and it's like a mental condition, perhaps anxiety or the bereavement of losing their mother. Joaquin Phoenix thinks swing and sees, because he used to be, of course, a batter as a young boy for baseball. Picks up the bat off the wall and swings at the glasses, the stale glasses, and the water sprays on the aliens who's about to kill one of the children, and it's like acid, and their skin starts sizzling, and they drop the kid, and they're attacked, and they're like, well, they're winning because they're smashing all these glasses, end up killing I guess there's inference the alien gets killed because it can't deal with all the water being splashed on it. Question, Dan. The Earth is 75% fucking water. Human beings are 80% water. What right does an alien have to come to a water-based society and world and try and invade and take it over successfully when everything is water, which is what they're literally allergic to? It makes zero sense.
Yeah, no, agreed.
From a plot perspective, I mean, it's a bit odd, but it kind of works if you choose those aspects. But otherwise, balmy. They'd just go, guys, it's basically like lava down there. Let's go on to the next planet and let's take those guys on, because this place, we can't do an awful lot with it because it's basically all water, which is lava to us. And they go, yeah, good point, mate. Let's move on. No, they decide to try and invade it, take us on, and they pay the price. It doesn't make any sense, Dan.
No.
But it doesn't have to, because it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. I can't say his name, I'm sorry.
Nothing unusual there.
But no.
Not for an OTT episode.
Indeed. It's just me this time. But yeah, it makes for a really good film. I like it. People really are unsure about the film, but I love it because not an awful lot happens. It is a psychological thriller. And I like sci-fi films anyway, so to put two together, actually, I think it's very, very good. But take that to one side. That plot hole doesn't make an awful lot of sense. If you've got the technology to cross a whole universe and want to take our planet for whatever reason, you just wouldn't. There we go. Signs 2002. Makes no sense.
Well, let's hit up a 1980s classic, The Karate Kid.
Yes, we are fans of that.
And of course, this does get poked fun at in the recent sequel series, Cobra Kai.
Yes, which is phenomenal. We've got all our season reviews, and the new series is due...
It's very soon.
Isn't it? It's a couple of months' time, isn't it?
Yeah.
The final season.
So in the final act of the classic The Karate Kid, Daniel LaRusso, played by Ralph Macchio, bests his rival Johnny Lawrence, Billy Zabka, with a sensational crane kick to the head.
It is totes so much because does he break his other leg or his foot or his arm or something?
It's proper sprained or something like that.
Yeah. So it's a last ditch attempt.
Mr. Miyagi has rubbed his hands together, made some fire, and apparently healed Daniel for this final battle.
Which it's not a thing because he's hobbling.
He's hopping around. Anyway, it's established at the start of the fight that blows to the head are not allowed per tournament rules.
Yes.
Meaning Daniel LaRusso should have been disqualified.
100%.
He's kicked him in the head. That's it. Johnny Lawrence should have won.
Because,
that's why he's bitter, right?
Well, yeah, 100%. And that is the basis of Cobra Kai, effectively, isn't it? Because Johnny Lawrence feels though he's hard done by, and he really was actually, because he was bossing that tournament up until that point.
And he got kicked in the head. I'll be annoyed.
Well, he's got a concussion.
Yeah.
I know it's a different time now, but it's against the rules. He should never have been accepted.
No. But as I say, that plot hole has been poked fun at in the Cobra Kai series.
It has.
That is the 1980s classic Karate Kid. Kick to the head.
It is. Yeah, lots wrong with that one. Another one that's fundamentally wrong, 1997's Face Off.
Oh, it's a great film.
Quality film. Just having a look here, actually, just interesting facts. Its budget was 80 million, which is quite a lot, actually, in the late 90s, but 80 million. It made 245.7 back.
Nice.
That's box office. That's not including tapes and stuff. And I know that probably everyone had probably a copy of this tape. Anyway, stars John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, Joan Allen, Gina Gershon, and other people. The premise is, I think is he an FBI agent? It's always the FBI in the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some government agency or agent who has finally put away his arch nemesis, this absolute psycho, played by Cage. Brilliant, by the way. Nicolas Cage is phenomenal. In any of the 90s films, he just owns it. But this guy's demonic. Like, he blows places up. He takes much joy in it. He's quite sordid and quite a really well written and well acted character. And he ends up being put away in prison. Breaks out. Ends up coming face to face, literally, excuse the pun, with Travolta's FBI character. They end up taking each other's faces and swapping them for bants. And it ends up Travolta is then found, put back into prison as his arch nemesis, but it's not him, but no one believes him because they've swapped his voice boxes. It's all very weird. And Nicolas Cage, who now looks like Travolta, ends up adopting his lifestyle, his life, his wife, his family. It's really an interesting concept. However, if we go straight back to what I said about 20 seconds ago when they were operating table, they're swapped faces. That in itself is quite a difficult procedure. I think it has been done in medical practice in more recent years, but that's not easy to do. But they're swapped faces, which means that they've exchanged blood types.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why Eve discovers that her husband, Sean, is actually Castor Troy, so the baddie, is because, and Eve's the wife, I say, is because his blood type is different to Sean's. So I think she had some suspicions he was acting oddly or he was getting things wrong, and it was enough for her to go, what's going on? And then Cage reaches out, who's actually Travolta, this gets very confusing, and says, look, love, I don't look at the face, I listen to the voice, it's me, I love you. The guy who's next to you in bed, he's not me, it's Castor Troy. She's like, you're smoking crack? He's like, no, I'm not. Well, I did, but anyway, I had to because I had to play the role. But ignore that fact, it's not him. Test his blood. And she does, and she finds out his blood type's different. But if that's the case, and this is spurious, but if this was the case, the transplant would never have worked because they had different blood types. So the body would have rejected the face.
Yeah. He would have been infected. They both would have.
Blood poisoning, perhaps, or whatever. Doesn't happen. But biologically speaking, that should never have happened in the first place. We've got different blood types.
I never thought of it like that.
100% you wouldn't, because it's a 90s film and it's far-fetched, and you have to look past that. But the basics, the whole reason why he got found out is because he had a different blood type. Makes no sense. Of course, our doctors out in the world would see this and go, ha, this is nonsense. But us mere muggles, take it back to the top of the episode, know no better. But now you do. So next time we see that fantastic film, say that's not possible. Not because of medical science, but because of literally the body won't accept that face.
Wow.
There we go, Face Off 1997. It's all nonsense.
It really is. Right. Excuse me. One of my favourites, Back to the Future.
Yes. Oh, there's a couple in this. I saw these. Yeah,
this is probably my favourite of them all. And something I've always questioned anyway. So, absolute timeless classic. Time travel romp by Robert Zemeckis. And it's got a goofy spirit, right? We all enjoy a bit of Back to the Future. But it's hard to get past one lingering quibble, Alex.
Tell me.
One lingering quibble. Why wouldn't Marty McFly's parents notice that their son looked identical to the strange and charismatic teenager who once set them up?
Yeah, it is odd. Surely
he would get to a point in time of age where he looks exactly like that person who set them up. What point do they go, oh, this is a bit fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look like that guy that set us up in 1955 outside the dance.
And you've been hanging out with a strange mad scientist who's been looking to time travel.
Yeah, we saw you fly off in a DeLorean the other day.
What's that all about?
Oh, roads. Where we're going, Mum and Dad, we don't need roads. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. It's a bit of a stretch to believe that they wouldn't notice the uncanny similarities. But it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't. Because you would remember that, right? That's quite a pivotal moment in time. Even if it was fleeting, you still kind of go back to that time when you first met.
Yeah.
That is odd.
Don't get it. Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Time travel classic.
Well, keeping things doesn't make sense. I'm going to do back-to-back now. And now we're into a couple of Marvel films.
Oh, interesting.
I've
only chosen one, but it's not from the MCU.
Okay. Well, this is the first and second Ant-Mans. At the time of recording, Ant-Man Quantumania, so I guess the third Ant-Man film is out. We'll have a review coming up very shortly. We're doing On The Go, which is before the cinema, and then after, with some spoiler-free reflections.
Yep.
And then we'll do the usual review afterwards, which is spoilerific. But I'm not talking about that because we haven't seen it yet. I'm talking about the first two films. Ant-Man 2015, one of my favourites, top three, I think. I've always said it, and I still stand by it. One of my top three MCU films.
Phenomenal. So good.
Dr. Pym said that even though Scott would shrink, he'd still remain the same weight.
Yeah.
But how does that work out? Because Pym's walking around with what on a keychain? Do you remember?
Tank.
Fucking tank. He shouldn't be able to pick up that keychain because it would adopt and remain the same weight of the tank, the tonnage of its full-sized counterpart.
And how is Scott Lang riding around on an ant?
Yeah, well, I didn't even think of that, yeah. How is the ant carrying the fat arse of Scott? I don't know.
Got Anthony just flying around casually in San Fran.
And all of this could have been removed just by that one sentence about him keeping the same weight. That almost seems like a pointless thing to say because it just undermines everything else about the franchise. But he said it, so what's going on?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Odd, isn't it?
Yeah. You could have just left that out. Just leave that bit out.
Well, something else is left out. So in 2018, a couple of years later, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second film.
Yeah. Not great.
Not perfect by any stretch. Do you remember what Hank keeps on shrinking and enlarging throughout the film? Something that's very, very big.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I've
Carries it
seen it.
around in a trolley.
Oh, was it the house?
It's a big office block.
That's it.
Now, you can't tell me that people haven't noticed a big fuck-off office block shrinking and appearing by whim overnight or almost instantaneously.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He constantly moves to try and hide from the FBI because they're after him because he's escaped. And he's got all the super soldier serum and the shrinking stuff. They're looking for him. Surely they'll go, hang on a minute, let's look at the skyline. What's that office building doing there? That wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And now it is. Let's go and have a look because I don't know what's going on.
It's a fair point.
But they don't.
Don't they shrink the house down as well? And then like
Yeah.
Or
They
is that
shrink
at the
the
end
house.
of the
No.
film?
They shrink the house down and then they find the meadows, or they obviously then shrink it back or enlarge it. But yeah, the office block. You'd look out your window and go, crikey, Dan, that wasn't there yesterday, was it?
No.
And you go,
that got built quick, didn't it?
yeah. Where's all the builders? It looks like he's like 45 years old, but yet it wasn't there yesterday. Doesn't make any sense. No one's reported it. No one's going there saying, what is this all about?
Yeah.
There we go. That's Ant-Man and the Wasp, with its very illogical hiding building nonsense and shenanigans.
Wow. Next one, 1998 classic, Titanic.
Yes. Recently re-released in cinemas, I hear. Won't catch me going again.
Yeah. No, I don't need to see that film again. It's on TV enough.
I told you about my... haven't I? Do you remember my story about Titanic? I shared this on the radio. I'm not really sure I should commit it to recording. But did I tell you about when I saw it in the cinema?
No. Oh, you might have done. Possibly.
11 years old. First ever girlfriend. 11, 12 years old. First date. Didn't really want to go out with her.
That's a long-ass film to watch on the first date.
100%. Schoolboy era there. Literally schoolboy era. I didn't really want to go out with her, Dan.
Oh.
I was kind of bullied into it. Couldn't say no.
Who bullied you?
Well, my girlfriend.
Oh, she bullied you into going with... Okay.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want to go out with her. I'm not going dark. Like, she didn't make me do anything, but I didn't want to go out with her. I didn't want to be her boyfriend, which kind of made me.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, well, the only thing I could do is, I mean, this Titanic film seems kind of interesting. People are raving about it, and I won't really have to talk to her. So let's go to cinema. It's fucking Titanic. So of course I'm there, bawling my eyes out as a crying school kid when all these poor people are dying and Jack's falling off the door. Which, by the way, James Cameron, is it? No, not James Cameron. Is it James Cameron?
Yeah, I think it is.
Said that there was categorically enough room in that fucking door for him.
Oh, that's it. That is the plot hole.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Jack could have fit on the door, and of course, recently, there was also those memes that were going around of people like photoshopping things on the door with what's her name? Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. If you
Rose.
Rose. Just go and Google some of the memes. It's hilarious.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
It's fine.
But yeah, okay. Well, it's been demystified and it's been proven that there was bloody room in there. But I was crying, bawling, trying to stifle my tears. Obviously, even though I didn't want to be with her, I still wanted to have some bravado and some back in the 90s, some manliness. Even though masculinity looks and feels quite rightly different now these days.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But anyway, back then it wasn't a thing. And yeah, I'm flooding tears and had to basically try and take as much time as I could walking out the cinema so that I could give my eyes time to dry and not be so red, and then not look at her basically as I'm walking out of the cinema out onto the street. That's dangerous ground for first date, Dan.
It's not like times now where you can just put your hood up, head down. You right there? You right there, Alex? Yeah, fine. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, hay fever's playing up. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
That's savage.
Yes.
But yeah, Jack could have fit on the door. That's
Not
it.
bad.
That's it.
My bad. Sorry, but yes.
Fine. We got the plot hole through your story of crying with the girl that you didn't want to go out with.
I'm okay to cry. 2022 now. It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we both probably cried at Wakanda Forever.
Oh yeah.
There was some solitary tears. Well, not solitary tears, just me bawling my eyes out. And of course, the credits start rolling and the lights go up. I was like, fuck.
Well, also
Together, Dan.
No Way Home, where Garfield saves Zendaya, MJ. That was tough watching. There was a couple of tears there as well, because that harks back. Yeah, Aunt May. Well, yeah.
Well, it wasn't so much when Aunt May died, it was when he's on the roof.
Yes, that was tough.
That's where it gets the old heartstrings.
Well, somewhere where I did perhaps shed a tear was Infinity War in 2018.
Oh, yes.
And there was specifically a moment, and it was tears of joy at the very end, where Doctor Strange opens all those portals, and all of his friends from all corners of the universe literally start walking up. There to back up their old chums as go face to face in the final showdown. Was it San Francisco? Avengers? It was the Avengers campus.
Yeah.
Where they had the final showdown. Therein lies a challenge, because if Doctor Strange could have done that, why was he shitting bricks when they were up in space during Infinity War and saying why they wouldn't be able to return back to Earth? He could just open a fucking portal. In fact, why didn't they do that on Titan?
Yeah.
Why did they choose a showdown on a place full of rubble where the Mad Titan control planets and rubble and take them all on in his own environment? Portal to somewhere else. Go to a demonic hellscape, where the beings will attack him, or take them to, was it Niflheim or one of the other places that's full of snow? Do something other than the place where the guy wants you to have a battle.
He's throwing moons at people, man.
100%.
He's just like...
But that's why...
Hi, man. Oh, yeah, by the way, mate.
Catch this. But this is why it doesn't make any sense, because if he could summon and take all of those characters from all corners of the known universe in Endgame, just a mere, 5 years later, but he was part of the snap. So he didn't learn it during those 5 years. He obviously lost his supreme status. Why was he so worried about having that Infinity War showdown on Titan? Why have it there at all? Makes zero sense.
But then at the time, Thanos had, 4 out of 6 stones?
Yep.
I suppose he's not... Well, he's still quite powerful.
But shoving him in a dimension, shoving her in a hell dimension, close the portal, he's got to find himself out of that place first, with all those stones, in a different dimension. There's only so much damage you can do there, right?
There is some nasty demonic shit going on in the...
Put him in the mirror dimension.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we haven't talked about that. Put him there. Can't touch you there.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Doesn't make any sense. And it all comes down to Doctor Strange. Sorry. There's a massive plot hole there. I'm just coming up with another one. Infinity War 2018, Dan.
Oh boy, I'm about to ruin one of our absolute favourites. We've done a couple episodes on it already. Jurassic Park, 1993. No. So the plot hole is around the Jeeps being stranded.
Oh yeah.
Rexy's hungry.
Yeah.
And the fences are no longer electrified.
Yes.
We see Rexy just amble up to the fence, snap the wires, and he stomps onto the road.
Yep.
What's most astonishing about the T-Rex is that she also possesses the ability to levitate. So there you go. There's my intro to this episode.
What?
Moments later, when one of the Jeeps falls over the fence, it plummets and lands in a tree, which we see is around a 100-foot drop.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
There is a reasonable explanation. In the book, it's explained that there's a 30-foot moat between each animal paddock and the fences to discourage the dinosaurs from coming close to its guests.
That'd be logical. Not great for a viewing platform, though.
No. Also, in the original script, the T-Rex paddock is referred to in 2 parts. The terrace section where the creature emerges from, and the precipice section that Dr. Grant's Jeep falls over. None of that's explained in the film.
So she just climbs or floats up?
Just levitates, 100 foot, comes out, and then pushes the car off, and then off she goes.
I never thought of that. Because you don't, do you?
No. My other half said this once when we were watching Jurassic Park. I mean, we watch it quite a lot. It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. She's like, if the Jeep falls that far, how is she up that high against the fence? It makes no sense.
Climbed up with her little arms.
So that's Jurassic Park, 1993, Levitating Rexy.
Wow. I'm going to have to remember that next time I see it. Thanks, Dan.
Sorry about that.
Another classic of the 80s. I can't even imagine it's this old. Harrison Ford. Everyone's favourite whip-snapping, fedora-wearing archaeologist.
Indiana Jones.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, specifically.
Oh, God, here we go. You're going to ruin another good film, aren't you?
Well, kind of, in as much as it really makes logical sense, because this is all about the Nazis trying to get hold of the biblical, literal item, the Ark of the Covenant, which is supposed to have is it the power of God or a significant power? And obviously the Nazis want to get it so they can rule the world, etc., etc., etc. But Indiana Jones's involvement was really irrespective because they still ended up with the Ark anyway. So what he could have done is just not participate in the film, sat back, relaxed, made eyes with the other students at the university, because that was the thing.
Yeah.
He could have gone to the far-flung reaches of any other place and raided those tombs. And the Nazis still would have opened the Ark and they still would have melted their faces off without Indiana Jones being party or part to that at all.
It's a fair point.
And the US still would have got hold of that Ark, put it into a crate, and then hidden it away in a warehouse until the end of time. It makes no sense. Basically, the film's pointless because they still would have ended up what happened anyway, with or without Indiana Jones. He just drew out that process and made it more painful for them. They still would have opened it and their faces still would have melted off.
Ouch.
Makes no sense. There we go. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Next up, The Lost World.
Jurassic Park.
Your least favourite Jurassic Park.
Yes. Famously, some might say.
Yeah. So the plot hole is the T-Rex's boat crashes into the harbour, as in transit. It escapes and killed everyone on board.
Yes.
How?
Oh.
It's huge. It's Rexy. There's no way it could have broken free and toddled on down to the control room and just feasted on every goddamn crew member on that boat. It's just not possible.
And they're not going to rush down and try and face it face to face, are they?
No. I'd be jumping overboard. I'd rather take my chances out at sea.
Well, T-Rex can't swim those arms.
No. It will drown.
It will.
I'll take my chances. I'll jump off that boat. But no, it toddled down, feasted on everyone. That's it.
Yeah, you're right. It ends up because no one's at the steering wheel and it ends up colliding, doesn't it? It's out of control. No one's there apart from T-Rex, and he just, as you say, jumps on land and gets on with it.
And also, if this is another plot hole in itself. I haven't actually put in there. If everyone's been feasted on, how is that boat still going towards San Diego?
Yeah, autopilot.
Probably. That's a good shout, actually.
Maybe.
Do boats have that?
Yeah.
I don't know. No idea.
Odd, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just that's a lot of eating as well. Surely you'll sleep and go, I'm done, mate. Because how many people's on a boat? Maybe 15, 20?
Yeah, it's got to be a few.
That's a lot of eating.
At some point, I'll be like, fuck it, I'm done. Lads, have a break.
Yeah. Let's make this a two-parter. This is part one. Roll credits, and then by the time it's part two, I'm ready to go.
See you in Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, I actually still like 3. But maybe that's for Plot Holes Volume 2.
Is there a reasonable explanation? Outside the film's proper mythology, yes. In a scripted yet never filmed scene, we actually learn a bunch of raptors tag along with Rexy's mainland debut and break free.
Oh.
They're the ones that killed the crew, basically.
Yeah.
But those raptors are never to be seen.
No.
Never to be seen, never to be heard.
Makes no sense.
Maybe they just chomped and jumped in the sea. I actually don't know. They got in the fucking sea.
Yeah, they did.
Crab for tea. That's it. 1997's The Lost World.
Shit film, anyway. A fantastic film is Home Alone, 1990, the original.
Love it.
Kevin is sure enough Home Alone. But his mum, he's irresponsible, social services worthy mother wasn't able to call him from Paris because the phone lines were down. Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. Can't get through.
Good impression.
Tries to call the neighbours. Of course, they're not there. They're on holiday. The wet bandits or whatever they're called. They pull the phone lines out and they're going through each of the houses. Can't reach them. That makes sense because the phone line's been cut or they're not there and on holiday. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
Phone line apparently is inaccessible to the mansion, which I think we talked about before many times.
Huge house.
Huge. How do they afford that? And afford to fly everyone to Paris? The guy's a massive drug dealer.
In the suburbs of Chicago as well, where it's really nice. In Chicago, phenomenal place.
Yeah. Have you been to suburbs?
Not to the suburbs. I went into the big city with all the big
all the bridges
stuff. It is a wonderful place.
It's on my list of places to go. But anyway, Home Alone. But yeah, do you remember the scene where Kevin first uses the videotape and the gangster film?
Yeah.
Do you remember how he used it?
I
love quizzing down, by the way,
he buys a pizza?
Good. How does he buy pizza?
He's obviously got a call because they ain't got no internet back then.
He picks up the fucking phone and he rung it through.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work out?
Phone lines are dead.
Phone lines are dead. So how do you make a phone call? How do you order pizza? Makes no sense.
No.
But yet he did it. Again, either his mum is incredibly incompetent, which we know for a fact because she does it twice, and she can't work out how to dial the fucking phone, or something's wrong. And no one's done their continuity and their writing correctly.
He also uses the phone to call the police as well.
Oh, he does. When he's in the tree house, is it? Or the top of the house?
Just before he
signals out.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So my house is being robbed. My name's Murphy. And then he's off.
Yeah.
That's it.
But you know what I mean? Like that, he clearly has a working telephone. So what's going on? Makes no sense.
No.
Home Alone, 1990. I got one more, Dan. What have you got?
I've got one more.
Tell me.
X-Men, Days of Future Past, 2014.
I struggle with this one because I wanted it to be so good because the comic was... I think it was middling. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as Apocalypse. And I stopped there. I didn't even see Phoenix.
Oh, don't bother.
Dark Phoenix? Dark Phoenix.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah. It's dreadful. I watched it on the plane home from Chicago, actually, ironically. It is so bad. Don't waste your time.
But Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, the plot hole is when Wolvie arrives in 1973, Hank McCoy has created a mutant suppression serum to help Professor X.
Yes.
Let's rewind to 2006, The Last Stand. McCoy is just as flabbergasted as everyone else when a mutant cure is discovered, which is a little weird, as he invented it 30 years earlier.
True.
I mean, I tried to look for a reasonable explanation. Seeing as this happens before Wolvie messes around with the timeline, we can't pin it on a spatial temporal blunder. Perhaps all of Hank's changed into Beast have fried his inner circuits, or maybe because it was the 70s he was just smoking a lot of weed,
or it's poor writing and no one thought to try and cover that off in a later film.
There was no continuity in the X-Men universe by Fox, unfortunately.
Damn it.
Was dog shit. Anything after...
Actually, you're right. All of them.
Anything after the second film, I think.
All of them was a fucking mess. I think it's well-known fact, actually. It's quite widely maligned that they just ignored everything and just every film was standalone.
Yeah. I mean, the X-Men universe in itself in the comics is kind of fucked up anyway, so...
Yeah.
Apparently it's still really good, according to the people who do the official Marvel's pull list. I just can't go back to it. I feel like the films have also sort of ruined my perception of the X-Men.
Well, they'll be back soon on the MCU.
Yeah, thank God.
See what happens.
We will. And that's it. 2014's Days of Future Past, which is bullshit, as my other half would say. Bullshit.
This is, I think, one of our favourite films of all time. 1988, should I say. Die Hard.
Great film.
There's a lot wrong with it, though, Dan.
Oh, no.
Even though the actions of the film took place in 1988, cell phones were actually quite readily available back then, and especially to all of the Rolex flashing execs in that Nakatomi Plaza building. They had a lot of money, they would have had all the gadgets, and definitely of the cell phones. So why didn't anyone actually attempt to call out? And why did John McClane actually look for any whilst just walking free in the building? Because if they didn't have them on the party, they would have had it in the offices, or in the meeting rooms, or in the drawers, or the desks. Look at mobile phones now. They're everywhere.
Funnily enough, this actually also comes up in Die Hard 2. He calls his wife, who's on an aeroplane.
Right.
They have a conversation. I only know this because I watched it the other night. It was on TV. It was on TV a couple of times, actually. But she talks about technology in the 90s and how you're able to talk from an aeroplane. It's a thing.
Yeah. But makes no sense.
No.
All they've got is hard lines, which they take control of. But actually they did have, although they were very, very large, they had mobiles. That's the first one. There's a couple actually to do with the whole knowledge of the building. So evidently, there must have been someone who had helped the terrorists do the job. They had so much knowledge, because how otherwise would they have known so much about it? They knew the tower layout, they knew the number of people present at the party, they knew the construction and the contents of the vault. They knew the whole setup, they knew the computer program. None of that would have been possible without someone actually providing this information, and besides, the insider would make sure that everything was going to go according to plan. So the only insider could have been Ellis, which was of course a dickhead, coke snorting, McLean's co-worker, or Mr. McLean. But the terrorists kill him before obtaining any valuable information. They shoot him. Remember, he thinks he's like helping them out and does a line of coke, and then thinks he's like their best mates and the mediator, and ends up getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
And the same applies to Mr. Takagi. He goes quite early, right? The boss of the whole building.
He won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
That's right. So who was the insider, and why wasn't this person uncovered at the end of the movie? They knew just far too much about the inner runnings of that building. Could have been a caretaker, could have been an owner, could have been someone who works there, but they don't reveal it. But how else do they know all that?
Yeah. Interesting. That.
Now, although terrorists know the plan of the building very well, we've established that just now, they should, of course, be aware of the emergency stairwell. However, they never use them.
Yeah, interesting.
Now, while it would have taken them a couple of minutes to descend, for some reason McLean doesn't walk down to the basement parking garage this way. He could have escaped and missed all of this when the party started to go south. He could have gone downstairs, and Argyle was where was Argyle at this time?
He was in the basement car park, just chilling out
in the limo with the big fuck off teddy bear.
Yeah.
He could have gone downstairs, said Argyle, whack this in reverse, let's get out of Dodge. They smash through the railings, or they get the attention of the police, end of film. But he doesn't. They've ignored it. And it ends up that Argyle is talking to both McLean and his girlfriend on the phone, which indicates that there was signal being received. He could have saved a day, a good an hour and 10, 15 minutes earlier.
I suppose then you don't have an entire film, but
correct.
Here we are.
And finally, this is the really interesting one. So when the terrorists plan to involve the FBI, they treat it as a takeover of the Nakatomi building and a hostage crisis, but in reality what they want to do is get the FBI and SWAT to kill the power to the building, which is their standard operating procedure when these things happen, so they can get to the vault. Why do you need the police to be involved when you know that it's the power? Just cut the power and use someone on the inside of the power grid or the services to isolate the power to the building and involve zero police.
Interesting, yeah.
But they don't. They involve the police with this convoluted kind of smokescreen. The police end up helping out inadvertently, cutting the electricity, and they can gain access to the vault and the bonds. Makes no sense. Get someone on the inside on the utilities and get them to help you out.
Yeah.
That wouldn't even be a film. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
One of my favourite films, 1988's Die Hard. Plenty of plot holes there.
Is it a Christmas film?
Yes. Link in the description below.
Yeah, go find it. One from the listener. As ever, Dan, thank you for your regular input on these episodes. You make it worth it. So, Alex, why didn't the Eagles from Lord of the Rings just fly the Fellowship to Mordor? I think even Gandalf worked this plot hole out at the end of Fellowship, where he said, "Fly, you fools."
Which I think is, although obviously we can't speak to Tolkien now, I think that's what many people actually interpret as quite literal. Get on the back of an eagle, mate.
Yeah.
You could have cut out 2 films. But
And a whole lot of death as well.
Because they do fly in the eagles in the second film, don't they? It's not the first.
No, it's not the first film. I want to say it's the third film.
It could be the third, actually, yeah.
It's the third one, because they get rescued from the volcano.
They do. But why couldn't you got one of those lovely, oversized eagles to fly you all the way to Mount Doom, wherever it is, drop the bloody ring into the flames, and fly back to the Shire?
You would have avoided the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Which is quality cinema viewing, actually.
I'd actually say it was better than the final fight.
Oh, I agree. The siege of that city is just brilliant.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Proper, like, endgame stuff, that is.
Oh, 100%. You could really feel the dread and the sheer kind of pointlessness of holding against that Uruk-hai army. It's brilliant. Just the dread is just so palpable.
Maybe there's a cut out there of just one film, just the Fellowship of the Ring, and they use the Eagles, drop the ring in, boom, the end.
I mean, with the amount of dialogue and walking across New Zealand, that still would have probably been about 3.5 hours, but yeah, you would have avoided 12 other hours.
Yeah, so that's it.
Wow.
Fellowship of the Ring, 2002.
Well done, Dan.
Thank you very much. And that wraps up Plot Holes.
It does.
Volume 1. I think there's so many out there that
there is
actually
a ton.
There will be another volume.
And I purposely, Dan, as always tend to do, avoid the ones I think you've chosen, and there's some actually you didn't mention today, so I think there's going to have to be a volume 2 because there's just plenty that I purposely didn't include.
There's just plenty. You only have to Google plot holes in Harry Potter, plot holes in Star Wars, just plot holes in anything. There will be something. Someone has found something in one of your favourite films that's going to destroy your whole perception.
That's going to ruin it. But that's what we're here for.
And that's what we've done.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Our bad.
Yeah. So, Alex, what have we got coming up next?
Probably Ant-Man Quantumania. So, as I mentioned before, on the go. So we'll probably release that in the next week and a bit, probably, in the review shortly afterwards. Hot on the heels. What else we've got? We might have some local conversations coming up again. We don't want to say too much to put pressure on any parties, but hopefully we'll speak to some interesting creatives in and around Portsmouth in the coming months.
And films you'd like to see again for the first time, which was one of the votes. So I think our previous episode... What was our previous episode? I've forgotten already.
Gaming Bosses?
Yeah, that's it. That got the top of the votes. So this one was second, and then, of course, films we would like to see again for the first time. So that'll be the next one somewhere in the not-so-distant future.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Lots of nostalgia. Lots of awe.
Yeah. Films that you would like to sort of feel that excitement, all that dread, or all those emotions again for the first time. Yeah. Just imagine you haven't seen it and you get to watch it for the very first time all over again.
That's amazing.
That is some proper,
Makes you ponder, doesn't it?
It does.
Looking forward to that. Okay, well, if some of our listeners want to get in contact, I guess, a bit early and let us know their thoughts, either in terms of any of the films that we've mentioned that we're going to be reviewing, or perhaps reminiscing on, how can they get in contact with us, Dan?
We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on @OnTheTopicPod. Also on TikTok. I don't really use it. I probably should. Same handle. If you want to email us, we are on the topic podcast at gmail.com. And if you follow any of those socials, there is a link to Anchor where you can leave us a voice message like some of our previous listeners. And Alex, we've got YouTube and WordPress.
We do. WordPress, our website says all lowercase, all one word, on the topic podcast.wordpress.com. Go have a look, rummage around. We've got our ugly mugs on there. We've got affiliate websites, so Morbid and Mundane, who have some wonderful t-shirts and garms. Go give them a lot of love. And Joey, who also does our channel artwork. What a lovely guy. All round good bean, good egg.
Need a beer with him soon.
We do. You can listen to our whole back catalogue, so there's everything on there all the way back to the weekly roundup days. And our newsletter. Smash the subscribe button, put in your contact details, and every time there's a new episode, it will ping you and you can listen to your heart's content. However, we're not just a podcast anymore. We are also a YouTube channel, Feast for the Eyes. So all you can do is go and at On the Topic Pod, I think it's called, YouTube.
Yeah.
Google on Topic Podcast YouTube, you'll find it.
We're there.
It's also in the description below. We've got all of our back catalogue. It is slowly but surely every Throwback Thursday being doubled up, and we are releasing every single On the Topic episode. We will do sporadic weekly roundups because there's some really good previous episodes.
Some good stuff in that back catalogue
from the archives. But it's all on there as well, and we're getting some good streams, so people are watching and listening, so to speak. So smash that subscribe button, be part of the family, and yeah, you can reach us there.
Yeah, wonderful times.
It's beautiful.
And that is it. That has been another week. I'm trying to figure out why my parents don't recognise me from the past. I've been Dan.
And I'm going to go and make my life incredibly difficult and more convoluted, but for your viewing pleasure. I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time.